Hey, Novel Views fam, and welcome back to the channel. Look around you. Scroll through social media. What's one word you hear constantly? Balance. Work-life balance. Finding your center. The perfect juggle. We're bombarded with images and advice telling us that the key to a happy, successful life is keeping everything perfectly equal, perfectly balanced. But let me ask you honestly, how often does your life actually feel like a perfectly balanced scale? Do you ever feel like you're constantly dropping one ball while trying to pick up another? Do you look at those serene, balanced images online and just feel inadequate? I used to feel that way. For years, I chased this idea of perfect balance. I thought success meant having equal time for my career, my relationships, my health, my hobbies, personal growth. Everything had to fit neatly into its designated box, its designated time slot. And guess what? I felt like a failure most of the time. Life kept throwing curveballs. Projects demanded extra hours. Family needed unexpected support. Sometimes I just needed to crash on the couch instead of hitting the gym. And every time life didn't fit into that perfectly balanced mold, I blamed myself. I thought I wasn't disciplined enough, organized enough, good enough. But over time, I started to see something different in the lives of people who were truly creating, truly contributing, truly living. Their lives weren't balanced in the traditional sense. They had periods of intense focus, of deep immersion, of leaning heavily into one area while others temporarily took a back seat. And it made me question everything I thought I knew about balance. Today, we're dismantling the myth of perfect balance. We're going to explore why chasing it is not only futile but potentially harmful. We're going to look at why meaningful lives are often built on periods of glorious, necessary imbalance. And most importantly, we're going to discover what actually matters instead, something I call integration, and how to find your real integration instead of just chasing Instagrammable peace. If you've ever felt exhausted by the pressure to be perfectly balanced, stick around. This deep dive is for you, the myth and cost of chasing balance. Let's start by really understanding why this idea of perfect balance is a scam and what it costs us. The myth presents life as a static pie chart or a seesaw that must remain perfectly level. Work gets a slice, family gets a slice, leisure gets a slice, self-care gets a slice. And the goal is to keep those slices the same size day in and day out. But this is fundamentally incompatible with the dynamic nature of life itself. Life is not static, it's fluid, it's unpredictable, it's seasonal. There are periods of intense growth, periods of nurturing, periods of rest, periods of unexpected challenges. Trying to maintain a rigid, artificial balance through all of this is like trying to force a river to flow in a perfectly straight line. It goes against its very nature. So what's the cost of chasing this myth? First, there's the guilt and shame. When your life inevitably becomes imbalanced, because a work project explodes, your child is sick, or you're passionately pursuing a new skill, you feel like you're failing. You internalize the message that you're not managing your life correctly, that you're somehow inadequate because you can't keep all those plates spinning perfectly. Second, there's superficial engagement. When you're constantly focused on dividing your time equally, you might never allow yourself to fully immerse in anything. You pull back from a challenging work problem because you need to switch to leisure time. You're with your family, but half your mind is on the work you should be doing to stay balanced. You end up feeling scattered and never truly present in any area of your life. Third, it leads to missed opportunities for deep growth and achievement. As we'll discuss more, significant accomplishments often require periods of intense focus. If you're too rigidly adhering to a balance model, you might be afraid to lean into a passion project, a demanding but rewarding career opportunity, or deeply investing in a relationship during a critical time, for fear of becoming unbalanced. Fourth, it fosters external validation over internal fulfillment. The balanced life often becomes a performance for others, looking calm, cool, and collected online, even if you're stressed out internally. You're chasing an image of peace rather than cultivating true well-being that's aligned with your authentic self and current life stage. The balance myth is a scam because it sells us an unattainable ideal that costs us our peace of mind, our ability to engage deeply, our potential for significant achievement, and our connection to our authentic selves. Why meaningful lives embrace temporary imbalance. Now here's where we flip the script. If chasing perfect balance is a trap, what does a life of meaning and fulfillment actually look like? Often it looks like a life that has embraced purposeful, temporary imbalance. Think about anyone you admire who has achieved something significant, created something beautiful, or made a real impact. Did their journey involve long stretches of intense focus, dedication, and sometimes, yes, leaning heavily into one area at the temporary expense of others? Consider the athlete training for the Olympics, the scientist on the verge of a breakthrough, the artist consumed by a new piece, the parent navigating the demanding early years of parenthood, the activist fighting for social change. Are these lives perfectly balanced in every moment? No. They are often characterized by periods of intense, sometimes all-consuming dedication to a singular goal or responsibility. This is not a call for chronic workaholism or neglecting your well-being indefinitely. Absolutely not. That leads to burnout, which is the opposite of a meaningful life. This is about recognizing that life has seasons, as we touched on earlier, role of cycles and seasons. There are seasons for planting and intense labor, seasons for growth, seasons for harvest, and seasons for rest. Trying to maintain the energy and focus of the planting season during the time meant for rest will only lead to exhaustion and diminished returns. A meaningful life understands and honors these cycles. Embracing temporary imbalance means making conscious decisions about where your energy needs to go right now in this season. It means giving yourself permission to lean into a demanding work project if it's aligned with your long-term goals, knowing that you'll shift gears later. It means allowing your focus to be primarily on your family during a critical period, without guilt that your hobbies or social life are taking a back seat. It's about conscious trade-offs, reframing sacrifice. Sometimes pursuing something deeply meaningful requires temporary sacrifices in other areas. Giving up some leisure time to build a business or reducing social commitments to care for a loved one. These aren't failures of balance. They are conscious choices aligned with deeply held values. When framed this way, sacrifice isn't a loss. It's an investment in what truly matters in that moment, or for the future. Healthy versus unhealthy imbalance, knowing the difference. Now let's address a critical point. How do you know if your imbalance is a healthy, purposeful lean or a dangerous slide towards burnout? This is point 3, and it's essential. Healthy, temporary imbalance is purposeful. You know why you are intensely focused on one area. It's tied to a goal, a value, a responsibility that is important to you. Finite, or has a plan for adjustment. You see an end date or a point where you can shift gears. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, or at least a plan to evaluate and change course if needed. Supported. You have strategies in place to sustain yourself during this intense period. This might include leveraging your support system, finding micro moments for rest, or maintaining non-negotiable boundaries around essential needs like sleep or basic nutrition. Energizing overall. Even though you might be tired, the intense focus is generally fueled by passion or necessity, not pure depletion. You still find moments of joy or satisfaction. Unhealthy imbalance, burnout, looks like directionless. You're working constantly but without a clear purpose or connection to your values. You just feel trapped on a hamster wheel. Chronic and endless, there's no end in sight, no plan to rebalance. It feels like the new permanent state. Unsustainable. You are consistently neglecting fundamental needs like sleep, healthy eating, basic movement, or essential social connection. Depleting. You feel constantly drained, cynical, irritable, and have lost passion or enjoyment for the activity that is consuming your time. Physical and mental health decline. Recognizing these red flags is vital. Embracing purposeful imbalance is powerful. Ignoring your body and mind's cries for rest and variety is destructive. Integration, which we'll talk about next, is about building a life where periods of focus are sustainable and supported by intentional recovery and connection. Integration, the powerful alternative to balance. So, if perfect balance is a scam and temporary purposeful imbalance is sometimes necessary, what is the sustainable way to live a full, meaningful life? The answer is integration. Integration isn't about dividing your life into separate, equal boxes. It's about weaving all the different threads of your existence, your work, your relationships, your passions, your health, your growth, into a rich, strong, and flexible fabric. It's about finding ways for these parts to coexist, interact, and even enhance each other. Think of it like an ecosystem, not a machine with perfectly balanced parts. In a healthy ecosystem, different elements thrive together, influencing and supporting one another. The trees need the soil needs the microbes, the animals need the plants, and so on. Your life can be like that too. More concrete examples of integration. What does integration look like in practice? It's different for everyone, but here are some examples. A freelancer who structures their day to work intensely in the morning, then takes an afternoon break to exercise or spend time with family, and maybe does lighter creative work in the evening. Their work integrates around their life rather than their life fitting after work. A parent who involves their children in meal prep or gardening, integrating family time with essential tasks and teaching skills. Someone passionate about fitness who finds ways to incorporate movement into their workday, like walking meetings or taking the stairs, integrating health into their professional life. An artist who draws inspiration from their relationships or travels, allowing life experiences to fuel their creative work. Setting boundaries not as separation but as protection for integration. For example, saying no to non-essential meetings late in the day so you can have an integrated evening with family, or blocking out time in your calendar specifically for a hobby or rest, treating it with the same importance as a work appointment. Integration is about fluidity. It's about acknowledging that life is messy and doesn't stick to a strict schedule. It's about finding flow between different activities, allowing them to overlap and influence each other positively. Navigating external pressure and finding your authentic integration, addressing external pressure and social media. This journey towards integration becomes particularly challenging in today's world, saturated with images of perfectly balanced lives online. We see curated snapshots of people doing yoga, meditating, excelling at work, and baking sourdough, all seemingly effortlessly. This creates immense pressure to perform balance for others, to curate an external image of peace that may not reflect our internal reality. This Instagrammable peace is often shallow. Real integration is about building a life that feels right to you based on your values, your priorities, and your current season of life, regardless of how it looks to others or how it stacks up against someone else's highlight reel. Finding your authentic integration requires self-awareness and courage. It means being honest with yourself about what's truly important right now. It means giving yourself permission to live a life that might look unbalanced to someone else, but feels integrated and purposeful to you. It means defining success and fulfillment on your own terms, not based on external validation or comparison. Practical steps towards embracing integration. So, how do you practically move away from the myth of balance and towards your own unique integration? 1. Deeply define your values and current priorities. Go beyond a quick list. What are the 5 things that are non-negotiable for you in this season of life? This could be career growth, family connection, health, a creative project, learning, etc. Knowing these helps you make conscious decisions. 2. Identify where you're currently leaning without judgment. Look at how you're actually spending your time and energy right now. Where are you naturally leaning in? Is it purposeful? Is it serving your current priorities? Don't judge it, just observe. Look for synergies and overlap. Where can you intentionally weave different parts of your life together? Can you listen to a work-related podcast during your commute? Can you meet a friend for a walk instead of just coffee? Can you involve family in a hobby? 4. Set intentional boundaries that protect your priorities. Instead of setting boundaries to create rigid separation, set them to protect the time and energy needed for your defined priorities and integration. This might be protecting deep work time, protecting family dinner time, or protecting time for rest and recovery. Be firm but flexible when needed. 5. Schedule rest and recovery as non-negotiables. This is crucial for sustainable integration, preventing the slide into burnout. Point 3 revisited. Schedule downtime, sleep, exercise, and moments of quiet reflection as if they are important appointments, because they are. 6. Practice mindfulness and presence. When you are engaged in an activity, working with family, pursuing a hobby, resting, try to be fully present. This maximizes the quality of the time spent in each area, even if the quantity is temporarily imbalanced. 7. Regularly review and adjust. Your life is dynamic, and your integration will need to evolve. Schedule regular check-ins, weekly or monthly, with yourself. How is your current approach feeling? Are your actions still aligned with your values and priorities for this season? What needs to shift? Be willing to adapt. Let's wrap this up, Novel Views fam. The pursuit of perfect balance is a draining, unrealistic myth. It costs us peace and prevents deep engagement. Instead, let's embrace the reality that meaningful lives often involve periods of intense focus and temporary imbalance, guided by our values and the natural seasons of life. Let's learn to distinguish this purposeful leaning from the destructive path of burnout. And most importantly, let's strive for integration, weaving together the different essential threads of our lives into a flexible, resilient, and deeply personal tapestry. Let's build lives that feel authentic and fulfilling to us, from the inside out, rather than chasing an external image of balance. Release the pressure, embrace your season, find your unique integration. What does integration look like for you right now? How are you letting go of the balance myth? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. I love hearing from you all. If this deep dive resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And if you haven't joined the Novel Views family yet, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos about living a life that's truly meaningful and authentic. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Live your novel view, and I'll see you in the next video.